Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a live episode of the FinTech Hunting podcast. We have an incredible guest for you today, industry thought leader, tech guru, just named a Housing Wire marketing aficionado, whatever the title they give. Couldn't be more excited to have back to the show Eric Kujula. Eric, welcome back.
Thanks a lot, Michael. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And on location.
Kind
of on location.
We are on location. We are here live in Novi, Michigan. We're at Ford Garage. You'll see some of the cool cars and different things they have here. But one of the things you may not know before we get started is about 4.5 years ago, Eric and I had a similar lunch to this, and he actually helped come up with the name FinTech Hunting Podcast. So thank you for that.
There
so
it is.
We know it's a tough market. We don't have to beat that drum anymore. But what are the things you're seeing that lenders are doing? How are they embracing technology to either lower the cost to originate, to better manage their leads and drive more volume? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is going to come no surprise to anybody. It's the same things that we've talked about for years, but they are taking a bit more, care in kind of the analysis of what these things look like. And a real big thing that we've seen lately is around kind of lead management, right? But not necessarily lead management, more about how do we identify opportunities early, right? Let me use an example. Michael Hammond wants to downsize his house because all his kids are gone now, right? So what is that life-changing event that helps trigger it that a lender can tap into? And utilizing data and looking at your database as an appreciating asset is really one of those key things to actually look at. So that's been key. And then exploring different marketing avenues to go get those. So
let's talk about that a little bit. I agree. I think people are trying to get on the top of the funnel a lot sooner. We talk about different tools and solutions. Don't want to call it too many people out, but Brian View at FinLocker does a lot of education on that front end. So I think that is critical, and I think the lead management part, a lot of people are realizing I can't just have marketing automation. I need tools that will either automate the phones, transfer inbound, outbound calls, and all of that stuff. So I agree with you. I think that's critical. Let's brief. We only got a few minutes here because we're live and we're doing a lot of cool stuff besides this. What on the back end? You and I have been on webinars. We've talked about, what can you do from an underwriting perspective? What are some of the things you're seeing on the back end to help lower the cost to originate?
Yeah, I mean, obviously automation's key, right? I mean, we're at Ford's Garage. Coincidentally, the founder of the modern assembly line, right? So you really have to look at kind of the operations, and it's more about you and Susie Lindblom and Kim Hoffman did a recent webinar that we're actually going to launch here in the next week or two around kind of demystifying automation and helping kind of get people over the hump because it requires change. You have to drive adoption through it. You've got to understand where those bottlenecks are, which could be people, by the way, and processes. So you got to understand both of those. It's not just technology, but without adopting it and really kind of changing the way you do business, it's going to be tough for you to kind of get out of that mindset. So
couldn't agree
out of
more.
Out of that hole, I guess.
I would be remiss if we don't mention, there's a lot of upcoming live events.
There is.
But you do a killer job at ICE Experience. I love it. It's one of my favorite conferences of the year because I think there's a great mix of decision makers, users, people actually in the platforms. There's great insight shared, but there's also wonderful community. What are you looking forward to in some of these upcoming trade shows? What do you guys have in store for 2024 with ICE Experience?
Yeah, obviously we're going to have a presence at Digital Mortgage coming up here in September, right? MBA Annual is always a great event. We'll have a big presence there as well. But we are we're very much into the planning stages of Experience 24. A lot of the similar type topics, but at the end of the day, we're trying to get more of the networking type things. Like how do we get birds of a feather? So an idea that we've got is to get how do we get credit unions together? How do we get construction lenders together? How do we get independent mortgage bankers together of different volume sizes together to discuss the problems that they're dealing with and then ultimately try and get them to collaborate together, right? And we're just kind of one cog in that wheel. So how do we help them kind of put all the pieces together and get them into a format that allows them to kind of collaborate together? So that's been a big focus of ours for Experience 24 this year, or next year.
I love it. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, you guys always put out great content. And I love what you're also doing about extending the experience at ICE with these additional follow-up webinars. I couldn't be more pleased to be able to do the webinar with Susie and with Kim. They have such a wealth of knowledge and expertise. So make sure you guys are looking out for that webinar. ICE will be sending that out. You don't want to miss all the insights from Susie and for Kim. Make sure you look us up at MBA Annual or Digital, and then don't forget to register for ICE 24.
Crazy. March. It's gonna be here sooner than we think. So.
Absolutely. Eric, thank you so much for being a guest on this episode of FinTech Hunting live from Novi, Michigan.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure.